There we are. We're live. Hello.
Ooh, first. That's why you need the video so you can see it.
Hello and welcome. We're right now sitting with Big T, and I am so excited to be sitting across from him. It's been a really long time. We're recording at the WNLK studios here in Bridgeport. Sitting next to me is the fabulous fave friend.
Absolutely.
Tori Fox.
I blush.
She's so wonderful. She is an interior designer, a neighbor, and highly knowledgeable in the political arena. She also blogs, which she's like, no, I don't. And I'm like, yeah, you do. And she's a rock star, which we know.
With a great wit.
And of course, you know, this is Trevor and Jill Talk Live. And today we're doing something kind of special. So we're doing this as our first podcast. We'll be posting this. We're going to figure this out, whether it's iTunes or whatnot. But Big T's helping us produce this, so this is really exciting. So today, really, we wanted to get into some fun, hot topics.
Yeah, and you know what? Just
right?
Sitting here, which this is so much fun. Mm-hmm. I had this idea that this is the Friday. I can't think of anything really I want to be doing much more right now. Maybe I need a little.
And I'm only a guest.
Happy hour train.
I better behave myself. Maybe I get to come back.
I know. She's
so
coming
welcome
back.
to our happy hour with lots of fun topics.
Exactly. Well, to get going, actually, Jill and I did something really fun yesterday. We went to the Moms Network in New York City, and we got to see Laura Prepon. And I don't know if you guys know and love the show Orange is the New Black, which I adore.
She was also on the 70s show.
In the 70s shows too, but she plays Alex. How do you say her last name, Box? On the show.
I don't know.
She's fabulous. Super fabulous.
I don't want to say the word.
We have to be careful about our language. But anyway, so Laura was talking about her new book called The Stash Plan. Right, Jill? What'd you think?
It was really interesting. She was talking about this diet that she follows, which has helped her tremendously with autoimmune diseases, all kinds of tips, really interesting. She's a new mom, so this is really important to her to be healthy and have her child be healthy. A couple things I took away from there. Mm-hmm. She's a big, huge proponent of bone broth, and there's something about the name bone broth
Tori,
that
have you ever
I
had
find
bone
difficult.
broth?
I have tried it, and I'm just going to say I'm not a fan. But there is like a place in New York City that is just a broth. It's all bone broth. It's all broths, but the bone broth is really, really popular. And when it's
icky.
bitter cold, it's
supposed to be good for inflammation,
right? Digestion, and you'll be happy to know that I went to Odalise and got us some.
Did you?
Yes. And at first I looked it up. What is bone broth? And it just says comes from the bones and connective tissues of animals.
So you can't be vegan and do this.
So they need a new mark. I think they need a new
But I saw
phrase.
I think I saw it. It was it possibly was one of the CBS Sunday morning ones, and they showed how they make it, and it was the whole thing, and it's a process. Good on you.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't know why we decide that certain things, freak us out a little more than other things, and maybe again it needs a new name. But I had some already, so if you'd like to try some, it's like a very heavy consomme, not so bad, and they have it at Odalise, which makes all kinds of
good for
great.
Cooking. Maybe that's what it should be doing. You don't drink it straight up. You just cook it.
I think you're supposed to drink it straight up, and I don't think you're supposed to use. I don't think it's not like chicken noodle bone broth. I mean, that's it's you're supposed to have it in its
heavier, not that. It's
but you have to
I
have it in your form.
So I brought it.
Okay, we'll try that later, maybe. But it was really exciting to go see the moms in action, and
they did a good show.
Yeah, they did a really good show, and Jill and I learned a lot. It was really interesting. So more to come from us. We're.
I wanted to add one interesting thing that because I looked it up just to see what you guys had gone to, and she talked about stretching.
Yes, she did.
And how unbelievably important it is. And when I was in California, this was years ago, and I went to a trainer, and they were like, wow, you're really tight. Let me stretch you out. And stretched me out to the point that I couldn't get out of a chair the next day.
That's bad.
But no, because it was amazing afterwards. I was like, I'd like, maybe it's like install a rack in your basement and just
stretch
yourself. We have two good friends, Dr. Gerard Sully and Kara Hartman, who wrote this great book. Shout out to you guys on 7 minutes to end back pain. I'm probably saying the title not quite correctly. But the big thing is stretching, and she didn't actually talk about that too much. She mentioned it yesterday, but there is a whole section in here. And if you want to learn more, if you like our page Trevor and Jill Talk, and write a comment here, can you? Well,
I'll
maybe
hold
you
it
can
up
see
to
this
the
better. Our video.
So here you go, stash plan.
Now you should really be able to see
there.
it.
You can see it.
We'll send you a copy.
Yeah.
So
it's
first
great.
person to on Trevor and Jill Talk under this video, just make a comment. I would like this copy of the stash plan.
Stash plan. We do have a copy to give away, and I'm a huge believer in stretching out. And I do a whole lot of yoga.
It's your 21-day guide to shed weight, feel great, and take charge of your health.
We like that.
I've never been disciplined for 21 days in a row. I can honestly say in my whole life.
They say you have to. You have to.
You
That's
have to
how
make
you
it a
start
lifestyle.
It takes 28 days for something to become a routine.
A habit.
This morning at the gym, I was telling the trainer, not mine, this great trainer though, and she said, just drink 16 ounces of water as soon as you wake up and follow this plan that almost all the nutritionists and trainers follow, which is a lot of your meals are just made up of 3 ingredients, and she sent them to me. 3 simple ingredients. So maybe that works
ounces
too.
of coffee.
Followed by 16. Followed by 24 ounces of coffee.
All right. So moving on to some of our hot topics, because this was trending in my world yesterday, is Tori and a few of the girls. We got a single.
We went straight to the source. Come on.
Straight to the source. So a few of us single girls had this long, sort of text chain that makes me laugh out loud all day, every day. And one of the things that came up yesterday was Michael Avenatti or hashtag Basta.
No, it's Avenatti.
It's
Avenatti. But because I follow Andy Lassner, who is Ellen DeGeneres' one of her producers on her show. And he made a comment about how Michael Avenatti is made for television.
He's
made for he's so the camera
First,
loves him.
just explain to everybody who Michael Avenatti
Well,
actually
so I will.
is.
So
She can't
he has
believe it.
become he has become so popular
Hi,
because
darling.
he is representing Stephanie Clifford, aka Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels.
And he is on every news talk show, everything, and the women love him.
He is the hottest bald lawyer in the United States.
So there was a comment on Andy Lassner's Twitter page from a woman who calls herself a grandma in Minnesota or something like that, and she tagged him. She's like, "Oh, not Avenatti, it's Evan Hottie."
And I was telling you, it's funny because I've been being at the gym. People have been coming up to me and saying, like, Jill, why aren't you talking about Michael Avenatti? He's the hottest thing going. So it's maybe he's the thinking woman, sort of. I don't know. It's the.
But he races cars. Hello.
Yeah.
And he was, I guess, jogging with a hat that had hashtag.
He signs it. Well, he signs off of all of his tweets, Basta. Which is another thing. He's getting people to learn Italian.
Okay, so what does Basta mean?
Enough is what it means. And
so
we can't get enough of him. So I think we should just.
Okay.
So we were talking, you missed this, Trevor, we had a conversation before saying okay, so he's maybe the thinking Democrat women, and maybe some Republican women too, or some independent.
He's a lawyer,
right.
So he's not a political figure.
He's just right now a little bit polar.
Well, we kind of love
so
that
we
he
were
has
looking for the counterpart.
Yeah.
Story.
For a woman?
No, okay, but I'll get to that too, but the Republican counterpart, who
Michael Cohen?
What?
Sorry, not that he's hot, but just in the news. How's that?
Yeah. Says who?
So, but this was the question. Okay, so Michael Avenatti is trying to get these women's story. Stormy Daniels, Karen McDougal, get those stories out because the American people need to hear the story. Well, what about Michael Cohen? We would like to hear his story. Is he going to flip? Is he not? What do you think?
I think that his wife is going to encourage him to flip unless she wants him to go to jail. Be gone for a while. I don't know.
I think
he might want that.
Well, okay. So
what do you think?
So Michael Cohen. Okay, he has said he loves President. I love Donald Trump. I take a bullet for him. I'd do anything for him.
Pretty close right now.
But we have to think, who does he love more? His family, his wife, his children,
himself,
or Donald Trump?
Right.
Seriously,
who would do
that?
Are
you going to go to jail for Donald Trump that literally fires people from a tweet?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't seem to have an allegiance to somebody.
No.
And so you're going to go to jail. I mean, they have the Southern District of New York that's
amazing
handling this case.
Mm-hmm.
And so that bypasses a whole pardon power. So
Right.
he has
Fascinating.
he is in a pickle.
He's in a pickle. We like that. Some men need to be in pickles.
And he needs to come to his senses and
Yeah.
figure out literally who he loves more.
So
You
it's
just
gonna be
wonder,
really
like a movie,
interesting.
what extenuating forces are
Yeah.
getting to him right now?
Yeah.
Who's talking to him? What are
Oh,
they
yeah.
saying?
Oh yeah.
And
you gotta
I mean, the
wonder.
pressure, I don't know how,
It's gonna
I
be
can't even
intense.
imagine. This is not what he bargained for.
And truly, the plot thickens. This is one of the most fascinating unfolding stories, I think, of the many centuries. This is going to be written about, I think, in many hundreds of years as more of this gets, comes to light, basically. And it would be really fascinating if this gentleman does flip. But didn't everybody just draw that
But a
gasp?
lot of people have flipped though.
Yeah, a lot of people
except
had.
Manafort.
But wait, the whole thing about Sean Hannity being the third client, weren't you guys all like, whoa, okay, stop.
He's flipping for sure.
You think?
No, the
He's
best,
doing a somersault.
the best thing is that I was watching one of my favorite programs.
Yes,
Oh my
what
God.
would
Like
that be?
I DVR it. It's
Uh-huh.
Deadline White House with Nicole Wallace. I love her.
Isn't she
Haven't
fantastic?
seen
She is
that
amazing.
one.
She has found her thing. She didn't. She
Uh-huh.
wasn't right for The View, but she is so good on this
Awesome.
show.
Awesome.
And it literally went right into. It was going into her show. Katie Tour was finishing on MSNBC,
Mhm.
and they went to, it's like, oh, so the third client has been revealed. And it's Sean Hannity, and literally it cuts to Nicole Wallace because it literally went right into her show, and she's like, I
I don't even know what to say.
I don't know where we go from here. I mean, it was yeah.
And he wants client attorney privilege, yet he's never paid him. So it's really an interesting gray area in the law.
No, but there is a thing. So someone pointed out that it's, I guess, some line from, I guess, Breaking Bad, which I didn't see Breaking
And
Bad.
I loved Breaking Bad.
Me too.
It was
Okay,
fabulous.
so all right. So you saw it.
Uh-huh.
If I give you $10, will you give me advice on something?
Yeah, I guess.
And that's what Sean Hannity made a comment on his radio show. What? I might have given him $10 and asked him for his advice on something.
Okay.
And someone said, oh, well, he must have gotten that from Breaking Bad. But I hadn't seen Breaking Bad. So
I don't
can't-
remember that
That's a
line
famous line with, I
specifically.
forgot the lawyer's name.
Yeah.
Remember he went on to have his own show.
Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's pretty
see
classic. There's another part of this whole story, though, that I think is interesting. So what about Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal and them being so adamant, not just getting their stories out, but what do you think about all of this?
One of the things about the whole Stormy Daniels things, which is so amazing to me, is Trump has attacked everyone, the biggest leaders in the world, everything, and he calls, call me a slime ball, or was it a slime? It could be slime.
Yes, it's slimy.
Slimy, but he has yet to come out and say anything specific and horrifying about this woman. So I'm really curious what is holding him back.
Maybe Michael Avenatti.
I will say,
Maybe he thinks he's cute too.
I will say, Avenatti says that he has set a trap, and they fall for it every.
He set a trap.
Time.
What kind of trap?
And he said every one of these appearances, he goes out and he says something, and he says, like clockwork, we set a trap, they fall in. So the drawing comes out. She had the drawing, and then the first time that Trump made any tweet about the whole Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels thing, was about that drawing and how it was faked and that's the only thing. And so now Avenatti went, oh, thank you for the defamation, and click.
Yeah.
And he just
Smart
has
guy.
It's just, and all of it deserves to come out, and I know that you know my feelings about a lot of this, but I find some of it so sorted and not, everybody's in, it's like a game of everybody getting for themselves as much as they can.
Everything is sorted. I don't know if you heard
there's
any of the
not
news
anything.
today.
all
Is
sorted.
it sorted?
It's all sorted, and it's a sorted world that we're all familiar with, not associated with the presidency.
Right.
So, well, maybe sometimes
No,
associated with
it's
the presidency.
corrupt,
Take
yeah,
it back.
right.
Can you imagine if JFK was today's presidency?
Oh God.
Sadly,
Yeah.
with the amount of women, but the women. These are the kind of things. These are so commonplace in that world to have these NDAs and women. They're looking for some.
It's really interesting. As you posed a question yesterday, which is especially when we think about a Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal and all these other women judging other women, especially in this hashtag Me Too world. Like, what are we thinking of Stormy Daniels? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I watched the 60 Minutes interview.
As did I.
Fascinating. I think everybody watched it.
Who could not?
And I found her very believable.
I did too.
And, you know, she makes no qualms about what she does for a living. And what I did find, though, was that a lot of the comments I read about Line was that people were like, oh, well, you know, look what she does for a living, and she's a
she's a sex worker.
Yes, but that's the nice way of saying it. The comments online were not so, you know, and I think so that they dismiss it. They dismiss her. They dismiss Karen McDougal for being a Playboy bunny girl. Then the other Playgirl. Oops, that's a whole another kind of story. I just made Big T blush. The other Playboy bunny. They're doing it again. Playboy bunny girl that dated the guy dated by the RNC guy.
Right. Paid $1.6 million.
Michael Cohen arrangement.
Hello, $1.6 million. That is a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, who?
She got a much larger payout than the other two.
Well, she got a larger payout because she got pregnant.
What happened with the child?
Did she have an abortion?
They forced her to have an abortion. Yeah. I don't know if she forced her, but she had an abortion. But then again, I'm sorry. My stepfather, God rest his soul, the funniest man ever lived, used to have this comment. Billy used to say when he would see someone that was not so attractive, whatever, and we were talking, and he would say, "How would you like to see that coming across the sheets at you?" And I'm telling you, the man from the RNC, I'm just saying, fits the bill. I would have taken the 1.6 beforehand, but that's okay.
So that's all I'm saying. That's kind of what I'm saying is that all of these situations are kind of situations that from the beginning of time we're used to these kind of situations.
But what happened that this becomes part of our daily commentary
discourse? Yeah.
That people in public life, I can't even imagine that we didn't have this conversation for 8 years before.
I think what I'm seeing from the Stormy Daniels and the hashtag Me Too is, yes, there's plenty of people judging these women, and I'm also seeing some people say, well, you know, we do have to listen to them, we do have to take them seriously, and if you're a sex worker, you're just as believable as anybody else. It's your profession. She doesn't make any excuses. She doesn't hide it. And she's saying, I can be just as believable. So part of me actually kind of feels like she's given that group of people a platform that is somewhat a little bit more believable today than it was before. What do you think of that?
I don't think she considers her herself a member of the Me Too movement, however.
I agree with you. I totally agree with that. But I think that what she's done is, it's sort of a legitimatized it a little bit. Is that the right word?
Too many vowels, too many syllables, but legitimized.
Legitimized.
But it probably legitimatized too.
Thank you.
I think what back to the point originally is that, and I hear this all the time, and I'm very involved in this whole gender equality thing, but you have to keep a good perspective, but I do hear a lot of women who are really critical of the Me Too, and oh come on, this stuff doesn't really happen the way it does. And I was recently on vacation with somebody who I would have thought would be absolutely right up there with me. And she's, so upset by things that are going on in offices and women getting upset that somebody is making, a remark to them that perhaps a little lewd, could be
not okay.
Perceived either way. Or again, I still hear all the time, the way women dress now, which makes me crazy. I said, well, when I first started working, nobody dressed like that, and it was worse. So that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, well, although part of me, a good friend of mine manages a bunch of people of all ages, and one young woman, he'd said to her unknowingly, he was trying to be kind and thoughtful. Hey, you look so pretty today. And this woman is in her, early 20s, and she's from the next generation. And those ladies are like, absolutely not. That is not a legitimate, okay thing to say in a work environment. And he, had to kind of roll back on that, and he's realized that he can't say those comments anymore. Now, I don't think there's anything actually wrong with that.
I don't know. Jill told me I look very pretty too.
She does.
I took it as a
I've been hired you.
Yeah.
But actually, since you're being, you're under consideration. But there is a difference.
If you have power.
If your boss, male or female, is commenting on your appearance, and you know they're looking at you that way, even if for a fairly innocent,
No,
fairly short
even
period of time,
to be a positive,
it's extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and you shouldn't have that on your plate.
Do you really, do guys tell other guys, boy, you look really nice today, or that's a really great tie? That's probably okay, guy to guy, but I don't know.
Do they say that?
Probably no.
Big T is saying
he's
no.
like, no guy's gonna say, hey, nice outfit.
Yeah, and that's your standard, what they say it to.
Yeah.
So you're looking fly today.
You're looking fly.
Yeah, you're looking,
I like that.
Yeah, but you're not like, oh man, you look handsome. Oh, no. unless you're of the other tribe.
Yeah. You're the other. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So these are some of the things we're talking about. And the other issue that Jill and I were discussing was this gentleman named Terry Crews, who at
He was at the
fair.
So Terry Crews is a big proponent for gender equality. He speaks out all the time against domestic violence. He's an ex-football player and actor. You know who he is, Big T, I'm sure. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
And he was at Tina Brown's Women of the World conference this last week, which is very prestigious. And on a panel, he got a lot of applause for this, too. He said that really a lot of men are kind of in this cult. And
this is fascinating.
It really is. And for them, they really don't look at a woman as a full
person.
human being. They're not really that concerned in many cases about her feelings. They're concerned about what she's doing for them. And what she's doing for them could be in the romantic, I'm trying to be kind on the radio, sense. It could be for, are they helping, how are they helping them? And they're not really, and once they kind of give, once you have to kind of get into like their needs and feelings,
Big T is like,
Big
so?
T's like, yeah.
You're not allowed. Speak your mind.
You're not allowed.
No, but see, that was, I think that's what, because I was watching this, and I might be confusing him with somebody, but he might have had his own Me Too.
He did.
He had his own Me Too.
Yes, with a man.
Yes.
He was harassed by
But, and
Really?
so, yeah, he was, and that's why.
Sorry.
But the one of the things he was saying is that this whole football culture, and they'd all go out to strip clubs, and then, and then they would talk to the women afterwards, and then they'd talk about their families or what they're doing, and they're like, ooh, no, you're the girl up there that struts her stuff, but we don't want to know the...
You have children.
And don't go all like human on me.
Yeah.
Just won't slow it down.
Yeah, and you can picture that in that setting, but it goes broader. And it doesn't always go as extreme, but that's what he was saying, there's a lot of that, and really men need the role models. And they also need moms who don't completely indulge them and say, it's okay, anything's fine, I'll do everything for you, don't worry, because that adds to it too. But they really need the male role model so that they see that is just not okay, because that adds into all the problems. So I thought it was great that he brought that up. It's a little controversial.
Yeah, but it's such an interesting
way
way
a football player
to frame up the issue of sort of male toxic sort of behaviors, which is it's a cult. So it's kind of a brainwashing process. And we teach these young men that they're not really supposed to feel their feelings. They're supposed to view women as objects, whether to bear children or to have in the sheets, and as a result, they're so caught up. No, I'm trying to come up with the right words. But ultimately, this man cult is really negative for everyone, right? Yes. That our boys aren't able to really express themselves. They end up doing bad things or acting out because they don't know how to talk about their feelings, right? And they don't have access to their emotions and how to. In my world, because I'm a therapist, I talk about co-regulating, and that's how we calm down. We talk it out. I'm looking at Big T. We have eye contact. We're not looking at screens, and we're really saying, well, this has been my day. It's been rough. It's been tough, and I need you to be there for me. And with this man cult, there's no way to do that, right? No. You're looking at women and the other people in your life as just objects, not an emotional connection.
And very hard for you to show another guy that you have those feelings, or like, hey, you guys. Right. So that's the thing that there's a lot of movements and organizations now that are really trying to do that, and I think that is super.
There was that recent New York Times article, just sort of encouraging parents to raise thoughtful sons, but that are able to express their feelings. And I think I saw another show.
It's a great article,
about how not these teenage boys and how they're having that one boy was saying how he's having a bad day, and it's you just want to cry, and how these boys in particular had sort of found this way to be really responsive and connected to one another, and You know, and because it's like we're all trained to bottle it down, and you know, and be a man.
Especially for men, you know,
very
big boys don't
stressful
cry.
and manifests itself in a lot of funky ways.
Bad behavior.
Well, yeah, but if you don't,
self-sabotage too.
Yeah, but if you don't, I think if you don't have an outlet for those emotions, where do those
Expressing your
go?
vulnerabilities.
You know, and then that, you know, people act out and do really stupid things.
Did you guys see any of that interview with Jay-Z and David Letterman?
Oh, I read about that, where he talks about when he was unfaithful to Beyonce.
Yeah,
and David Letterman talks about that
same thing, and they both really discuss this process of being a man and not being vulnerable, and as a result, you end up doing these things because you're so disconnected from your own feelings in the moment, and you hurt all these people around you, including yourself deeply. So I'm just hoping this whole, you know, Me Too, Terry Crews, even the work that Jill and her husband do, we all come to a place where we really can.
Well, you know, and every little step forward, no matter what direction it's coming from, helps. It does. It does just changes the conversation, at least for some, and hopefully more for many. I feel like this is circling back to our Stormy and Karen.
Yeah.
We're definitely not looked at as
shout out to Jill Kelson. Hi, Jill. She goes, hello, looks great. But yeah, so back to that, and actually I'm going to bring in
maybe
another.
they never looked at Donald, to be honest, as the whole person either.
But think about
this.
What
did he do for
watching Shark?
Did you?
What could we all do for each other?
I think all of you guys are aware of the Syracuse frat.
Yes. Oh my
Theta
God.
Tau.
So so I think that's the male cult in its worst.
Yes.
Right. And these boys were saying absolutely awful things, anti-Semitic, racist, you name it,
and sort of acting out, sort of like just not cool things, and
it's very ugly.
And but I think that also goes from the culture to belong. You know, you're rushing a fraternity. It's all about accepting me. I'm you know, and you do what you do.
When you rush, you do feel the different kind of culture of each fraternity. You're drawn. I mean, there's some mistakes made, but usually you're drawn to those that you feel comfortable with.
No. But I think that there are sort of certain things that have been happening in fraternities lately. I mean, I cannot get over. His name has escaped me right now. But he's the boy that fell. The one that fell at UPenn.
Oh, and he died down the staircase. I don't remember the name. Terrible.
Story every semester. That's
and you look at this beautiful. I mean,
gorgeous young
this.
Man.
And when I say beautiful, I'm not making like, oh, he's so handsome, but he was a very handsome boy. But my point is that he had his whole life ahead of him, and you see what it's done to his parents, and it's a judgment call that's been made at a rushing fraternity night, and you know, and certain sort of a judgment call goes out the window, and the video, I could not believe what I was watching.
It's horrifying,
and it was You know, I mean, my nephew went to college. I was like, can you talk
part of me feels like there's this like two big sort of polarizing places where we're talking about #MeToo, and we're really seeing changes in the corporate culture, and at the same time you're seeing this Syracuse frat, and then you've got Terry Crews talking about man cult. Like, there's so much bubbling up in our
you know what's so interesting about that? So when we had Colonel Christensen at an event we did, he said this is like the new civil rights movement, and civil rights movements do not happen smoothly. They happen, things go forward, they step backward. There's a lot of protests, there's a lot of backlash. It takes forever. I mean, we're still in that today, a civil rights movement. Yeah. But the same thing for this, I think. And so I met this woman on vacation recently who runs a big corporation in Los Angeles, and she said that so many of her friends that are men, that are in their 40s, 50s, whatever their age, are running corporations, they are afraid to hire young women. They're afraid to mentor young women. They're afraid to hire them and be alone with them. Like, everybody needs some guidance and some, how to proceed with this.
Yes, well, I'm willing to help them out because I'm working on my executive coaching right now. And no, that
it's
is
good.
actually
it's actually so badly needed.
No, and that is one of my things I want to help. I go into companies and say, really take a good hard look at your culture. You have to first be aware, and I think that's the problem to begin with. And a Band-Aid, which is, I'm not going to hire young women, I'm not going to be in a room with the door closed, all these other things. Those are Band-Aids. It's still the cultures are still stuck in these sort of old
We have a vice president that won't go out on a
thank you.
dinner with anyone unless
maybe
his mother is with them.
Maybe he's afraid he'll get
But well,
I mean,
but
two moments.
no, but my point is that he won't,
Yeah,
and
right.
I would never go have a lunch. I would never have a
Right.
meeting with somebody. I would never.
And
none of
he's
that.
coming from a religious standpoint. Oh, by the way, Kara Hartman, we say hi back. But yeah, we've got some real interesting issues coming up.
You should definitely do that, Trevor, because
I
there are so many companies that are really confused on what is the proper way to speak, behave, and women, young women should not miss out.
No,
because
God.
of this.
I mean,
And
this
a
is
lot
half
of
your
these people
talent.
have daughters that they want them to have every
of
opportunity,
course.
so don't you
Yeah.
don't want them to.
Totally.
lose
So
this.
involved in all this conversation is, one of our favorite people, Meghan Markle, is going to be marrying Prince Harry very soon, and there's apparently a backlash happening. So tell us about that, Jill.
I just have been reading, and also I've had people bring this up to me, like snarky comments, and so many people.
Snarky like what?
So many people in Hollywood think like, well, she wasn't a big enough deal. Like, how did she get this? People are telling me, this woman I was out for dinner with recently told me that the Queen has made all this is not true, I'm sure.
Oh,
the
my
Queen has
goodness.
made all these statements that she's not happy, she's just an actress for the United States. And again, these are all women saying this.
Did
So
Grace
what
Kelly
is
go?
this?
Did Grace Kelly go through this?
I'm sure she did. I'm
Do
sure
you
she
think?
did. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, she's just an American commoner. But I think
She
Meghan
was
Markle
very
has the
princess.
other piece, which is she's half black, and I think that's part of it too, which is really unfortunate. Big T is going yes.
And I think that's the great thing about
Which is
it.
really
The amazing,
And
the
divorced.
amazing
And
thing
divorced.
about it.
And
Right.
divorced.
Divorced,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but Prince
Exactly.
Charles.
Big T just buried his head in his hands.
Yeah, the Queen is
She's
not
right.
happy.
Well,
Queen
Prince
is
Charles is married to a divorcee, and
Yeah.
he's
Prince Charles
he's,
is a divorcee.
He's divorced. That's right. He's divorced, married to a divorcee.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's fantastic,
Yeah.
and I think
too.
it's fantastic what
Second
William and
season.
Harry like that. They're so modern,
Mhm.
and they seem so inclusive with everything.
I
And
love
that's
them.
about the best
But
thing
that's,
that
but that's, I
happened.
mean, seriously, that's who.
That's the way the world
But that's
is.
who Harry is as a person.
Yes.
He is not.
Yes.
He is. I mean, everyone always made comments about him, and he was the.
Well, he did
was
make
the
a few
difficult.
mistakes.
He was the difficult one. But he has done an amazing thing, and what he does for wounded warriors
Oh,
and
yeah, he's
and,
brought up a
and,
ton.
He's grown up.
disabled athletes, and he's wonderful. And
talking about mental health,
but
fantastic.
And that's right. That the little the video that or it's like a thing that the three of them did.
Yes. It was
And they
beautiful.
actually talked about it, and but you
amazing.
know what?
See, their mother taught them a lot of how to express themselves, I think, and understand some of these things.
Well, I think when you suffer, I also believe though when you suffer a huge loss that you are you find yourself open. You find yourself. There was a very interesting thing that I was reading. Heard about Barbara Bush, who passed away this week, and after her daughter Robin died at 3 years old of leukemia. First of all, that's when her hair supposedly that's when her hair went white, and she never wanted
Oh
to
wow, I didn't know that.
change it.
Completely
She sort of
understand
felt it. Yeah, but everyone said is that because, and I think she actually might have said it, having suffered that loss, it made her so much more open to sick children, and so
compassionate.
she was the one cradling the children in the hospital and all that kind of stuff, and it flips or it opens some empathy, sympathy valve. It should, I would say.
One would
And
hope.
it doesn't always work for some people, but I think it's definitely. And you know what? They seem quite happy with one another.
They look adorable. I can't wait to watch the wedding. I'm actually going to be physically in London that weekend.
Oh, maybe you'll bring a little last minute.
I might be able to look.
Bring a dress.
Bring a dress. So we're going to lighten things up a little bit because I think we can take a right turn here. So this is a question Jill's wanted to ask for a while, and we'd love your comments. So jump in
And
there
this
if
is
you
our
want to talk.
Our first little. We'll just bring this
Yeah.
up, but we're going to address this more in the
This is
future.
a
This
hard
is
right
going to be
turn.
fun. A hard
Are we
right turn.
making a
So,
hard right
so
turn
here's
on
it.
this
No,
one?
but I think this is a legit question.
Is this the
So,
topic?
so take
Oh,
it,
no, we're
take it
getting
in,
there.
take it in.
We
Okay.
forgot about that
The question is, would you date you?
Oh.
Think about that for a second.
And would you marry you?
And would you marry you?
Or would you marry? My third one.
All right, Jill,
would you
you-
marry you again?
Would you marry you again? All right, Jill, you go first.
Oh no. I would definitely date me. I think I would be an amazing date.
She would. She's a great
I
right
question if I would marry me. Again, I'm not kidding.
Stop.
I'm very much of a person. I like my time and space, and so sometimes I wonder if I'm cut out entirely. I've been married forever with a lot of road bumps along the way, and so I guess maybe for us being like that kind of works a little bit, but I'm not sure. There's a lot I would like to discuss about this, and I'd like to hear more from you two ladies. But yes, date. Oh yeah, I'm a good date.
So if you're watching right now, like, give us little comments in here. Tell us, would you date you? Because we'd love to get back on this. All right.
Or would you date any of us? I'm just kidding.
That's a loaded one.
Definitely. Right. Oh, my phone just started beeping.
Yep.
So
here we go.
Here come the asks. And by the way, I am. Let me just give a disclaimer. I am happily married, but I'm just saying I am a good date for my husband or anybody because I'm very interested in a lot of things. I love to converse, and I would definitely put on the outfit and go.
Yeah, looking.
So how about you two ladies?
What kind of outfit are you?
Whatever's applicable. Is it?
That's resonating on the too.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So Tori, up to you.
Would I date me?
Would you date you? You're so cute.
I think I'm okay. So I think why not? Why not? I'm funny. I'm funny.
You are really funny.
I'm funny. I can throw a mean party.
Yeah, she does the best parties. And
can I date you?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm so excited. My mother does that. And I have fabulous dogs.
2 really cute.
I have French bulldogs. Who doesn't love French bulldogs? Right. Love me, love my dog.
You get a package.
Yeah, but I don't, you know what, I have to say, because I have been single for like 9 million years, that I am a little set in my ways, and I have, I have my own house now, and
which is beautiful.
And I'm like, would I want someone to share the closet, though?
That's a tough one, giving up closet space.
No.
That means real commitment, it's true.
And what if they don't want to watch news all the time?
There are. Well, actually, no. My swanky house comes with like televisions everywhere. You can watch television from the bathtub.
It's pretty. Oh,
it came with that. I didn't put that.
Wait, all you
that's
needed
super
to just
cool.
start with that.
Yes, I know. Oh, I have a bathtub with a television.
You got guests coming over right now. Kara Hartman is saying yes, I would date myself, and I always told Jill I would date her as well.
We're really in love. We are.
Oh, Kara, I agree with you. Jill is very dateable.
Very dateable.
And she drinks bone broth.
Ew.
No, I'm still sitting with it here.
She's not going to drink that. It's too gross.
Trevor.
Yeah. I think I'm a pretty entertaining date. I think
no doubt.
Yeah.
No date all of you.
Yeah. Well, Big T's kind of nodding a little bit. He's like, maybe you might be pretty.
She's a cutie pie too.
Oh, yeah, I just got cutie pie from Big T. Yeah, no, I think
cutie pie's around the table.
Cutie pie, we're around the table.
As to you.
But I think from a basic just having fun, and I love people's stories, and I love finding out more and just connecting. I think that's 90% of it, right?
It's just so much fun. You're such a great listener,
thank you.
No, but you really give. That's the thing, and that's okay.
We bonded over our, what was it, a 4-hour car ride to get to City Field last summer.
Best time.
That's when somebody really listens to you.
Yeah.
What is hotter than that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just kicked the table.
Just kicked the table. It's okay.
But Michael Avenatti, I think, is a good listener.
Oh, I bet not Michael Avenatti's a really good listener.
If you're...
I love it. Kara's saying I'd be a great date too. Thank you, Kara. We're all 3 going to go out 4. Actually, Big T is going to come too.
But we do want to have various people on and kind of discuss why or why not they think they would be a great date or great to marry, and what is important qualities. And the funniest thing is, I did not ask one person who did not say, I would marry me in a New York minute.
Really? Everybody was like,
I would date myself. And everybody that I talked to, and here I'm going like, I don't know. There's so many things I can think of. But they were all so positive. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to register this from the on the podcast, but on the camera. So one of the other cute things that my stepfather used to do is when he was like, "Oh no, I do love myself."
Billy was awesome.
Billy was the funniest.
Billy
human
Harbach,
being,
he was
funniest human being alive.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But you know what he really showed us is that you actually have to start with really liking and loving yourself before you can really be out there and love other people. I actually believe that. You have to just really enjoy your own company, have a good time, and doing that is what, give yourself a good hug. Because the minute you're compassionate and loving and caring to yourself, you can do it for other people, right?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, if you don't like yourself, I don't know how you're going to convince someone else to like you.
Right.
I'm not fun, and I'm really but you want to go out? Yeah, come on over. I'm really boring and.
So wait, Kara's asking a question. She goes, "Question: What age would you want to date yourself? What age?"
Oh, like would you have wanted to date yourself?
Oh, she was fun in her 20s.
I danced on bars.
Ooh,
I had so
I
much
missed
fun.
this part of you.
Okay, so I
We
worked-
can resurrect.
How old is the person we're dating?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, but I think the most fun I had was in my 20s. I worked at a bar in New York City called Sam's Cafe on the Upper East Side. The people that I worked with was Mayhem from those Allstate commercials, Mayhem, Dean Winners, Scott Winners, and literally it was wall-to-wall people. We danced on the bar.
So fun.
It was so much fun, and I was super fun.
So recreate.
And we're
Have a
gonna
party
get the going.
and recreate this place.
I think
I will dance on the table for you.
I personally think I'm more fun to date now that I'm in my 50s, and I've been divorced 3 times. Hello. So I think I'm a little seasoned at this point, which is kind of a good thing. Possibly, maybe I was a little brattier. Maybe I'm more open and compassionate. I don't know.
And maybe,
well,
I was gonna say no too.
Yeah.
I think I like myself better. I'm stronger. I'm more confident, and I think that it's a better interaction in a way. It's not just like adoring eyes up to somebody, or I don't. It seems much more. It could be much more equal and even flow. And
I
sexy.
think so too.
Really sexy.
So, all right, next question. Jill and I were wondering, I guess a friend of yours came up with this, which is you would really learn if you trusted somebody, if you went over in your head, would you leave that person watching your 4-year-old? Which I think is a really good
a gentleman I'm friends
framework.
with, he connects people, like all kinds of professional people, high-level people, and he invites them into these groups, and they're amazing, but that's his question. Would I trust them with my 4-year-old for an hour? Not because they would hurt them, but would they actually engage, and would I feel comfortable? And that's his standard almost for the read he gets on someone.
A professional kind of question of how you get to, do we want that person in our company? Right? Would you let that person into your world? And that's such a great framework,
in the general world. I like it.
Yeah.
My so I have an adorable nephew, Teo. He's 2, and I spent some time with him last fall, and with my sister Annie and her husband Scott. We're in the city, and we had spent like this whole day together at the zoo. And the next day, my sister said to me, she said, "This is a huge compliment. But Scott feels completely safe.
That's good.
With you, leaving
That's
Teo
a
with
really
you."
big deal.
And she's like, "This is a huge deal for him."
Yeah, it is.
And no, but I was like, you know, you do take. I mean, granted, I'm related to her, and so that would probably, up my ante. But I do.
There are relatives that can do damage to your children, by the way. Just saying.
Exactly.
Not you, Tori.
I think you don't.
Not you, but in our stories, that's the next podcast.
Yes, exactly. But no, that is one of the basic things in life, which is, do you feel safe with that person? And I like that way of framing up, how do you hire, how do you choose, and even to the dating thing, which is, look, if that person makes you feel safe and comfortable and able to talk about yourself and, actually divulge information and you feel like you can be vulnerable, I think those are all good things, right?
Yes.
I think,
absolutely. So it's a good test.
No, but I think the safe word, I think is the most key. So I am a Me Too person. I've had several incidences. One when I was 10, and
sorry.
Terrible.
And then one when I was older, or a couple, but the 2 big ones, and that has been my thing about the person, anyone I would date or anything, is that I have to feel safe. I have to feel safe with that person, and if I don't, I'm miserable.
Yeah,
I'm miserable.
Yeah.
But that has
understandable.
to be but that has to be, that has to be like the first key. The person who could be the most handsome, the most whatever, and all check off all the boxes, and you get to the bottom one safe, and no,
that
can't.
goes out the window.
Can't.
Yeah, I'm with you. So speaking of safety, Saudi Arabia is having its first fashion week.
They had it.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Which is really cool. But I mean, think about all these women who have to be so careful about what their dress is, and
they are still. It's really sort of chic, very, very covered,
very
long
covered,
garments, long pants, still the headdress.
Amazing.
But they're trying to make some progress, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though, and
I saw some of the pictures. pictures.
Yeah,
Not all
cool.
of the models had.
Well, not
That's
they
didn't
had
all,
big
but-
jobs. So
yeah.
No, they didn't have that.
Which
they
is
had,
cool.
They were long, beautiful.
Long.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
really pretty.
But yeah, so that's a big shift in their culture, which is wonderful. And so again, we're seeing, even globally, women having hopefully a little bit more safety, right? And we don't have to worry about hashtag Me Too's, although that will probably, I hate to say cynically, will always be there.
They do.
But so here's our last question. This is more to do with the missing springtime. Like, do you guys not feel the same as I do?
Somebody posted it's the
what happened?
108th day of January.
What happened to spring? I'm just asking.
This weekend.
I don't know.
It's
We
a
had that taste of it. It was like 70 degrees, and I put out my deck furniture. And
Oh,
I
you
was all-
did?
Yes.
Cushions even?
Cushions, everything,
my.
and then it was like
The hope.
tomorrow's going
Spring's
to be 32
eternal.
degrees, and rainy and cold, and rainy and cold, and rainy and cold.
How is this affecting your mood?
It's called seasonal affect
Disorder.
syndrome.
Affected
I-
by
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think
It's been a rough one, everybody.
no, I mean I don't know.
You should drink some bone broth because
Oh.
it's supposed to help.
Stuff like
It's getting
stuff
passed
like-
around the table.
No, I'm gonna
You
go
have
with my
that one.
I'm gonna go with my blueprint
Got her. Oh, delicious.
lemon reset.
Yeah.
Lemon reset.
Yes.
There you go.
I like
Fun.
the word reset.
Yeah, that's
We
good.
forgot to mention it because in the future, again, we're going to be doing more
Mhm.
about dating and marrying you and what's important and all
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Another little hot topic that we're going to bring up is sort of things that can add spice to dating
Mhm.
and marriage.
Mhm.
And it was sort of brought to mind by the woman that
Mm-hmm.
invited us to see Laura Prepon yesterday. She's a woman who does PR for
hardware.
hardware. Could be
thoughtful.
software. Probably more hardware. Probably more than hardware than software. But I found this so fascinating. She represents toys.
He's blushing again.
I know.
Big T
I
is
love
upset.
making Big T blush.
He's shaking his head. Our producer is going, oh my goodness, ladies.
Yeah.
No. We're going to be very
Wear a t-shirt.
very discreet. Very discreet. But she represents toys that are, toys for kids and toys for adults.
Mhm.
But this I found so interesting. I honestly do. That there's now toys for adults for adults that have different disabilities. And for example, she's now marketing a new toy that is for adults who have terrible arthritis in their hands.
Mm.
Okay, this is, if you don't watch the show, this is Grace and Frankie. This is what Jane
Oh,
I
Fonda.
have not watched it. I know.
Oh
I
my
haven't
gosh,
watched it.
I like
this
that
is
show.
the-
Maybe
this
they did a product placement on there.
Oh.
This is their business that they go into after their husbands leave them.
Really?
And
Interesting.
Hardware for people that have
Hardware.
They have it, and
arthritis, etc.
because no, and that's the
Thoughtful
whole thing,
toys.
and that's one of the selling points that Gracie, Jane Fonda's character, does.
Gotta
is
love
that,
that.
I have arthritis in this wrist, and I can't remember the name. of it.
Oh.
It is really funny, and then they do a whole presentation
All
at
those
a
pictures of Michael Evan Huddy out there.
On
at
Shark
a
Tank.
they do it at a retirement community
Oh.
because that's where they're
There's
gay. You have heard
more
there's
action.
Is there something wrong with this?
No,
This is
I'm
great.
just saying that there's a lot of stuff happening in the retirement communities.
Yeah.
Right, and Big T is really just shaking his head at us right now.
It's Friday afternoon, it's happy
Yeah.
hour, we're happy,
Yeah.
and it's fun
Very
to talk
happy.
about all of this.
Exactly.
All of this with everybody.
But
So-
so you guys send us any topics, any questions. We'd love to keep this conversation going.
Yeah.
So this is our first podcast number 1.
She'll get the name right.
Trevor and Jill Talk, and thank you to our beautiful guest, Tori Vaught, who is an interior designer, neighbor, highly knowledgeable in the political arena, blogger,
Has
and
a
rock
really
star.
cool TV in her bathroom.
Yes, of
and a
course.
bathtub.
And a big thank you to Big T, our producer. We're actually
Yes.
sitting in the studios of WNLK right now, and this is kind of back to my roots in early radio in my career. So it really feels good to be here. So everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe and
Let us know your thoughts, and remember,
Yeah.
like our...
Oh, wait.
you had one more
quick
thing.
One
Yeah.
quick thing.
You had
if
one
you
thing.
don't know about Michael Evans,
Oh.
Michael is going to be on Real Time with Bill Maher tonight.
Ooh.
Oh,
All right, there we go.
hello.
There we go. Oh, and we had one friend say
Will
one
you be watching
thing.
from the
She
top?
said, our friend Michelle said us on our text, like,
Oh, yeah.
just reach out today. Say something nice and kind to somebody. It's maybe somebody you don't know, but just be kind. So spread the kindness.
I love it.
Big kiss. Bye, everybody.
Bye.